Let me put you a different case to test this,
Okay.
Lindsay. There's a debate over whether to privatize prisons, to introduce greater efficiencies. Now let's imagine a prison in a state that has capital punishment. Let's consider the job of the executioner. Suppose we put the job out for bid. Chances are the wage people would demand to perform that job would be pretty low. In fact, some people might be willing to do it for free. You could save the money you would otherwise have to pay. It's an efficiency argument.
I mean, this program would have to be highly regulated with background checks on the people that would be qualified, but I ultimately don't have a problem with that.
Now suppose the wage fell below zero. And some people said, I'll pay you for the privilege, and I'm qualified. And you checked to determine that they were qualified.
This is a tricky issue because it involves killing another human being, which is where I'm considerably more torn. So I think that this would be the point where I couldn't support it anymore. So I'd have to flip.
But as in the walrus case, no human beings are being killed who wouldn't otherwise be killed.
My personal opinion is that I value human life over.
But we're taking a case where this person will be executed one way or another, just as these walruses will be killed one way or the other.
I would have a problem if the market goes below zero.
And is that because you think the desire of that person willing to pay for the privilege of executing someone is perverse?
Well, to be honest, I think it's more about my own personal aversion to capital punishment.
But that's the same whether or not the person is paying. So that can't be the only thing that's doing the work here.
It's two sides of the same coin. Someone is paying to kill a person that otherwise would be killed on behalf of the government. In one case, it's the government paying to the person who's going to execute. In the other case, it's the person who's executing.
But there are different means of deciding executioners in public prisons. There's a reason that executioners used to wear hoods, because you should not attach your identity to this attitude. This is why this rotates between jobs in the prison, because it's not something which is meant to be publicly endorsed. This is why they wore hoods. There's a reason for this.
It doesn't mean that the person is going to be necessarily proud of it. He can still be wearing
But
that
someone's
mask.
paying for it.
For it, you're absolutely proud
That's not
of
even
it.
proud, that's enjoyment.
Yeah.
But I don't see how, if like two people derive the exact same amount of pleasure, but one is paid and the other one pays, it makes the whole situation completely
No,
different.
but what we're trying to get at, though, is whether catering to base preferences is something that markets should be constrained in some cases from doing. That's the question.
Putting aside my aversion to capital punishment, the difference between the walrus case and the human case is that I have a moral sort of aversion to the walrus case. However, when it comes to the executioner space, it would be my opinion that there would be an issue with the person that would want to kill other people. That I don't think it would be a mental problem in somebody that wanted to kill a walrus.
Why?
Because of human life is, to me, more important than the value
I
of
think
an animal.
Lindsay is identifying and having trouble with this because she feels sort of a familial bond, even with the person who is on death row. It's a fellow human, of course. And it's hard to identify with the plight of a walrus, and it's just simpler to identify with the plight of a human who is on death row.
Yeah.
So this is a line where I would not let the wage rate go to zero and go below zero and actually endorse.
But it's most efficient. It's most efficient.
Sure, it is most efficient.
So apparently there is something else that counts in markets than efficiency. Do you agree on that?
This is a mental problem.
Mental problem? It's a moral problem.
Of course.
It's a moral issue.
Of course,
So then we're just
So you are
categorizing.
agreeing ultimately that in some cases moral issues should play into whether or not we allow a certain market to exist.
Moral issues can
No,
drive
I'm
efficiency
saying that
concerns.
there's,
Right, that's
with
the
this
question.
discrete case of this one person, yes, there's probably a moral issue at stake and a mental issue
And
at
that's
stake
because,
with this
there might be
that's
person.
because
more.
we're not comfortable with having someone with a mental disability be
Are you
pull the
calling
plug
it?
on other
Are you
people.
calling it a mental disability because you don't want to be morally judgmental?
Yes, I think so.
Lindsay earlier appealed to liberal neutrality, right? Which is the idea that you shouldn't legislate some view of morality in a pluralist society, right? But your hesitation towards the negative wage rate for the executioner for humans, that sort of reflects the respect for the right to dignity, the right to life. But you don't, at the same time, apply those rights to the animals. So I guess this whole debate hinges on your view on animal rights. Do they deserve dignity, do they deserve a right to life?
I disagree with you. Earlier, we were talking about whether only efficiency and outcome matters, and what we are proposing is that there is more to it than efficiency and more to it than efficient outcome.
Right.
There is the desire. Some desires should be taken into consideration. Some motivations should be taken into consideration when we discuss markets. It's not that black and white.
Here's what I'm saying. You're taking exception to the executioner deriving pleasure from it because that affects the dignity of the person being executed.
Right.
You're not applying the same rights to animals as you are to the
Yeah,
humans.
I totally agree. I think we do show a level of respect to people even on death row. The last meal, we're giving them an opportunity to feel some pleasure before they die, and selling somebody's death is totally disrespecting their dignity and disrespecting them as a human. So the largest objection for me is that I'm not okay with degrading a human by commodifying their death.
But you don't understand the motive of the guy who wants to shoot the walrus either.
I don't, but we commodify animals' deaths always. I mean, that's what our food industry is.
In that particular case, you give the chicken to eat the chicken.
Yeah, but the overall purpose of it is
different.
to kill this walrus wouldn't be killed if it wasn't to be used as a resource for the Inuit people. I can't see eye to eye with them, but I don't feel that I can impose on them my moral views.